everybody. It's Winning Wednesday. You already know the vibes. It's your girl, Brandi, Harvey. Drop where you're listening from, where you're watching from. It's Winning Wednesday. To all my replay watchers, good to see you here on YouTube and on Instagram Live. It's Winning Wednesday. Atlanta, Georgia's in the building. Cleveland, Ohio is most definitely in the house. How y'all doing today? It's Winning Wednesday. My good friend Patrice Washington is going to be joining me on the show today. We're going to be talking about the Redefining Wealth live event that's happening here in Atlanta, Georgia next month. We are 30 days out from it. I'm so excited. I'm going to be the keynote speaker. So Patrice is going to be joining me on live today. It's Winning Wednesday. What's up, Comedy California is in the building. Good to see you. Woo, woo. McDonough's in the building. The DYT Dayton is in the house. How y'all doing? Winning Wednesday. Y'all, what's up? How y'all doing? DC is in the building. YouTube is checking in. Instagram is checking in. Good to see y'all, Charleston. It's Winning Wednesday. Detroit is in the building. What's up, D-Town? It's Winning Wednesday. Good to see y'all. Y'all, we got to catch up. Can I just go ahead and get Snellville and Detroit to say 200,000 subscribers? Come on, YouTube. San Bernardino, California. Snellville, Georgia is in the building. That's Shy. Miss Patrice is in the building from the Shy. That Patrice. Miss Patrice, head of the basement ministry over here. Never Scared Ministries, where we ain't never scared, but we will nuck if you buck, so you better be sure to wipe us down. What's up, Miss Patrice? Good to see you. Go ahead and drop some hand praises in the chat. Go ahead and drop some clapping emojis in the chat. It's Winning Wednesday, and we are 200,000 subscribers strong on YouTube. Come on, y'all. Look at us. We done grown. Come on. Thank y'all for the hand claps. Douglasville is in the building. It's winning. The skin is skinning. Thank you so much. It's Winning Wednesday. Y'all, we got 200,000 subscribers over there on YouTube. It's been a long road. Can we go ahead and get some claps, though? Can we go ahead and get some praise hands? It's been a long road, but here we are, 200,000 strong over here on YouTube. I'm so happy that y'all join me each and every Thursday at 10 a.m. When y'all see these new episodes drop, y'all be in it. Let me just go ahead and say this. Y'all in the comments arguing under Dr. Raquel Martin's post this week. Y'all been over here in y'all feelings about this whole idea of partnership. Lord have mercy. I just be saying, I know some of y'all, Special K, what's up? Good to see you in the building. Jay Matrice is in the building. Some of my regulars are here on Instagram. Some of y'all be arguing because y'all don't listen and y'all don't read. Can I just go ahead and tell y'all that? Some of y'all be arguing about stuff that if you listen, amen, and if you read, amen, you would stop arguing. Because some of y'all just look at clips and y'all be arguing up in these here posts and y'all ain't watch the whole Instagram. Over here on Instagram, they said, what's the YouTube station? It's Winning Wednesdays. It's on Vaughn and Powers. It's on Vaughn and Powers. Where are you? Like, where you been, girl? Where you been, friend? We on YouTube every Wednesday. It's Winning Wednesday. We're on Vaughn and Powers dropping every Thursday, 10 a.m. So anyway, because y'all don't be listening and y'all don't be reading. Okay, now for all my people watching on YouTube, my internet, Xfinity, y'all owe me so much money because this is the second time a technician had come out the last month to get my internet together. And the fact that I'm still on the fritz is wearing me low. Okay. Sometimes I don't want to have to leave my house to go do stuff. And y'all making me leave my house. And I don't like it. So anyway, 200,000 subscribers. We in the building. Just a recap before I bring my friend, my good sister friend up. They said I loved her because she is a TSU alum. Oh, Kelly, you talking about Dr. Raquel Martin over here. Yeah, you know, Dr. Raquel, she dropped so many gems in the episode. If y'all haven't gone and watched it, please do yourself a favor, especially if you down in the comments arguing and stuff. Los Angeles, California is in the building. Good to see y'all. Before I bring up my good friend, Patrice Washington, Miss Patrice Bradford Wagner over here on Instagram. She said, "What site am I on? No, girl, you on YouTube. I mean, you on Instagram. Good to see y'all. It's Winning Wednesday. Now, y'all, if y'all was following along, y'all knew I was at the podcast summit this week. This past week, I was at the podcast summit, and I had such a wonderful time. If you're over here on YouTube, Nakia, you know she be dropping the notes, the notes and the links in the chat for you. If you're over here on YouTube, Seattle, Washington's in the building. Good to see you. It's Winning Wednesday. Last week I was at the podcast summit, and I just got to shout out David Shands for a wonderful podcast summit. I had such a great time presenting at the podcast summit. If you followed along with me, you would know that I had the pleasure of participating. I did this session, a letter breakout session on day one, how to do an engaging, enticing interview, the art of the interview. I did that on Thursday. Then on Friday, I came back to put all those good tools that I gave y'all to practice. I put those when I was on the main stage interviewing the beautiful, very talented Lauren LaRosa, who is the one of the co-hosts of The Breakfast Club. And we had a wonderful conversation. Before I bring Patrice Washington up, can I just share something with y'all? I got to tell y'all about the podcast summit and what it reminded me of. And if you follow me the last couple of weeks on Wednesday, you know I've talked about how I found my old journal from 20 years ago, and I read to y'all out of the journal the things that I said 20 years ago, and how I'm seeing all these seeds that I planted manifest themselves, right? And so this weekend at the podcast summit, I was approached by so many people, you guys, so many people who were like, your podcast has made such a difference in my life. You are a game changer. All the things that I was just so proud to hear. But then there was this moment when I don't be thinking that I'm like a podcast celebrity, and then I go into the podcast summit and like, I'm saying, I'm low-key like a podcast celebrity. So y'all, y'all may have seen on my Instagram, I reposted this girl, Tiffany McCall. She's a host of the Free Your Mind podcast. And she came up to me, and let me tell y'all how, when we talk about the seeds that we plant, when we talk about how we got to stay ready so we don't have to get ready. I got to tell y'all a story, because before I ran to Tiffany McCall, I was so hungry that I was hangry. I was getting so hangry, y'all. I gotta tell y'all this, because I feel like that y'all can understand. I feel like my people who watching me here on Winning Wednesday can understand what it's like when you get hangry. And y'all, I was hangry, and I told Nicole, who was with me, Nicole Glass, shout out to Nicole Glass, who was rolling with me for the podcast summit, grabbing content for me. Y'all will see that coming up real soon. And I told her, I said, girl, I get something to eat. I'm trying to get hangry. She said, well, we need to leave because it's going to take like 40 minutes to get out the building. I said, no, it's not. How is it going to take us 40 minutes to get out the building? She said, it's going to take 40 minutes because soon as we leave from this backstage area, everybody's going to want to talk to you and take a picture. Sure enough, 40 minutes it took for me to get out of the building. But the girl who stopped me didn't know that I was hangry. The girl who stopped me said, oh my God, Brandi, Harvey. So when I meet y'all got to know that sometimes I be in my like, oh, what y'all doing? Sometimes though, when I meet y'all, I'm like, y'all give me so much energy. And so Tiffany gave me all this energy when she came up to me, and she said, Brandi, Harvey, I just got to tell you, you're my North Star. She was like, you're my North Star when it comes to this interviewing game. Like, I look to you, I look at all your interview. I'm like, whoa, oh my, this is like, wow. Like wow. I was not expecting this. And I told y'all I was a little hangry when she came up to me, but I couldn't let her know that I was hangry, right? I couldn't have her have that experience, right? So I pushed past my feelings, and she says, Brandi, you're my North Star. She was like, I look to you, all this stuff. And then she says, can I get a few words? Can I ask you a few questions for my podcast? I said, absolutely. Well, then she starts asking me, and she starts to cry. Now, y'all, I was literally like, oh my God. it just was so moving to me. It was so powerful to me because we never know the impact that we have on other people. We don't know the impact that we are making on other people. And oftentimes, when people meet you out in the street, they might be having this whole glorious idea of you, and then you totally diminish it because you don't know how to act, right? Because you hangry and you don't know how to push past it. Well, in that moment, she said, you know, you're like the definition of what a free woman is, what freedom is. And y'all, I've been in this conversation. I've been in this conversation for a couple weeks now. And y'all, I'm literally sitting up here like, God, what do you want to show me? What are you trying to teach me? What are you trying to reveal to me in the season of my life? And I keep getting reminded. Jada has reminded me. Hannah has reminded me. All young girls have reminded me along the way that you just embody freedom. And y'all, California, I am so happy. Can I was to have the conversation to love on Tiffany in this moment, because sometimes we think that it's about us in these moments, right? Because I was hangry and I'm like, I'm just trying to get out of here so I can go get me some lunch. But baby, this girl invigorated me so much because she's like, Brandi, I look to you. I am so excited to have this conversation with you. You are the definition of what it is to be free. And y'all, when I tell y'all, for somebody to say that to me in this season of my life, God is just giving me the constant wink and the nod to say, just keep going. And so for everybody out here who is listening to this conversation, who feels like, man, maybe it's just really not my season. Man, it's really not my time. Man, other people getting all this shine, and maybe I'm not doing the right thing, Summer. Maybe I'm not doing the right thing, Angela. Maybe I'm not doing the right thing, Pamela. Maybe I'm not doing the right thing. And here comes God to say, baby, let me tell you what happens when you get free. When you get free, when you break free, guess what you do? You give every other woman permission to break out of their own chains. When you give every other woman and permission to break free. And so, my people who are watching on YouTube, where my connection is going out, for all the people who are watching on Instagram, baby, when you break free, I'm just here to tell you, when you break free, of people's opinions, there's another girl waiting on the other side. When you break free, there's some young girl who's saying, wait a minute, I've been watching you. You've been my North Star. When you get free, there's going to be somebody, Harriet Tubman. Listen, there's going to be somebody, when you break the chains off of your life, of other people's opinions, of other people's expectations, of who they think you should be, of what they thought you should do with your life, of who they think you should be in this season. I'm here to tell you, there's some girl who's waiting in the wings, just waiting for you to say, baby, I'm free. Look at what happens when you get free. There's a whole life that opens up. There's a whole world that opens up to you. And if I get to be somebody's North Star, imagine what will happen in your own life. Imagine what will happen in your own life, YouTube. Imagine what will happen in your own life, Instagram, when you break those chains off of your life. Well, I think we're ready. I got some freedom this week. It was some people who came up to me and said, Brandi, I'm so happy to see your evolution, following you since the beginning. It's so great to see the evolution. Miss Tanya just checked in and said confirmation in this very moment that there's some freedom that she is getting in her life. Honey, let Miss Patrice Bradford said the breakthrough is sold separately, baby. Yes, it is. Come on. Lynn said, I'm fired up. Listen, there's an evolution that is happening in your life, and so many of us have been waiting for somebody to redefine what freedom, what wealth, what health, what wellness looks like. And in this season, y'all, there's some people who are out here breaking not only their own chains, but coming in to break somebody else free in this season of their life. So without further ado, I get the absolute pleasure, I get the absolute honor of introducing my good sister girlfriend, we go to the cabins and make sure an 18-year-old has the time of her life friend. The ones who gonna make sure you got your stuff for the summit friend. Without further ado, the host of the Redefining Wealth podcast with over 20 million downloads. She gets on everybody's stage and lights it up. The one and only Patrice C. Washington. What's up, Patrice?
Woo! Baby, you are on fire. I was back here like, yes. These are the conversations. You mentioned Tanya in the chat. Tanya is one of my clients. We were just talking today about how when you free yourself, when you liberate yourself, you don't only go back and heal 3 and 4 generations. You don't only go forward and heal the people, right? The generations to come and the young people who are looking at you, but that goes outward. There is something about when a woman walks into a space and she is free to be herself, to show up in her own voice, to show up in her own light, to show up with like in the way that it occurs to her, because she was born with purpose, on purpose, for purpose, to be herself. Baby, you can't help. You don't have to like it, but you will respect it. You don't have to understand it, but you will be attracted to it. And the only people who envy that are people who can't embody that type of freedom for themselves. Because I light up when I see you being free. And we've been friends for 17 years. And I light up and tell you, like, B, I'm so proud of you. Look at what you're doing. I'm embodying my own level of freedom. So when I see you, this is why I put myself in places and spaces with people who walk the walk and talk the talk. Because I'm not going to be around people who envy that type of freedom. You should be attracted to that type of light. I'm so fired up. Like, we done. That was so good, Brandi. Thank you for having me. I just want to say that, and I'm going to go on out.
Listen, I am so excited. Woo! I get to be the keynote speaker at the Redefining Wealth live event here in Atlanta, September 12th through the 14th. I am so excited that last year you asked me, and your girl was on a world tour this time last year.
I know.
Yeah, I know. So I couldn't come last year, but this year I get to be in the building, and I'm excited. What can people expect from Redefining Wealth this year?
So you already, first of all, to be able to look, I had to put my bid in last year when your girl was going to Bali and India and here and there. I was like, well, let me just plant a seed 12 months in advance. So I'm so grateful. Because I don't take it lightly that you are the Brandi Harvey, even though you are my sister friend and all those things. So I'm so grateful that you said yes and that you will be in the building as the closing keynote speaker on September 14th. But what people can expect is the process to that level of freedom. Because I think sometimes, Brandi, people hear the words and they think they understand the work. Just don't get familiar. You know, when people get familiar with stuff and it's like people being familiar with you and you familiar. So now you forget who you're talking to, or you forget like what I actually carry, right? People hear the words, oh yeah, I want to be free, but they don't always understand what that journey looks like. And the reality is what I teach from at Redefining Wealth is that I've always said, and I've been saying, in September 13th, 14th will be our 8-year anniversary of the Redefining Wealth podcast. And this entire time, what I tell people is, listen, wealth is so much more than money and material possessions. This is where we get it twisted. The original 12th century definition of wealth is actually the condition of well-being. What would help you show up well? Being more of who you really are, being more of what your soul came here to do, like allowing yourself the freedom to get off this idea that the only way you will win is to follow external definitions and other people's opinions and other people's ideas and thoughts and labels about who you are and what you have to be, and tapping in. We have like put on a pedestal and prioritized other people's definitions. And what we're being called into, I feel like we're in a collective awakening right now. What we're being called into is an internal understanding, an internal definition of who am I really? What do I really desire? If I stripped away, and this doesn't mean that you have to lose your whole life. It just means if you stripped away making every decision based on first, well, what is my mama going to say? Well, what are
Yeah.
people going to say? Well, what are people going to think? Well, how is this going to look? And you just said, what do I genuinely want to do? What feels good in my soul? What feels good for me? The thing is, because I'm even saying that, we don't understand that that's a process. That doesn't happen overnight. I've watched your evolution over 17 years. We
Yeah.
used to be accountability partners. So we used to
Sitting at
write our
IHOP. Sitting at IHOP. Sitting
in
at
IHOP.
IHOP.
We used to be accountability partners. Brandi and I were accountability partners in 2011, 2012, 2013. So we're watching the manifestation of so many things that we talked about and layers and levels to it that we couldn't have even imagined. This is before
Yeah.
I was 4 years on the Steve Harvey show. This is before best-selling books. This is before a podcast with 20 million downloads. What were we talking about, Brandi? What I now call the pillars. Were we not? Was I not leading us through? Break it down by different parts of your life. And we
Every
need to
area
be,
of your life, education, finance, physical, I mean, every area, we were sitting down creating goals every quarter, every quarter.
every quarter, every 90 days. And B, that was the foundation. That was the buildup to 2017, what would become the 6 pillars of wealth. What I teach from at Redefining Wealth, what I teach from in the Institute for Redefining Wealth. So what started as you and I at IHOP has become over 1,000 clients
Yeah.
internationally who I walk through this process of authentic alignment. There is no way to redefine wealth for yourself if you are not willing to be radically honest about who you really are, what's really not working, and what you actually desire. Most people set goals every year based on some stuff they don't even want. You The reason you're not sticking to it and not
Yeah.
committing it, carrying through, is that's not even really what you desire, but society has
Yeah.
taught you that that's what you need to want. And so now you're operating from obligation and not option. Anytime you operate from a place of what you feel obligated to do, then it's always going to come with suffering. You look free
I
because you're
mean,
choosing to do what you want to do.
yeah. You look free because you're choosing to do what you want to do. And I think most people, like you said, they don't understand though the process to that level of freedom. So I want you to talk about, Patrice, you talked about before we got on, you said people are looking for clarity in this season, but most often they're just misaligned.
Yeah. It's what I coach women through most often. This is the idea that the answers are always going to come from something outside of yourself. So they're
Yeah.
constantly looking outside of themselves, which means that you start to operate from a lot of inspiration, which is external, and no intuition, which is internal. Right. And
Yeah.
so the thing that keeps you consistent and keeps you moving forward is that you are ignited from within. That means that you can see yourself in this thing that you desire. You can visualize it. You can see, but I'm sure you do the same thing. Before I get on stage, I see myself on stage. It's not the first time that I see myself when I'm
Yeah.
up there. I've already seen myself on stage. I've already seen myself having the impact. I've already seen people in the audience having the ahas, having the tears, having the light bulb moments, right? And so the process really is about understanding that there's just so many different layers to it. So I walk people through one, that there's different layers to like vision. Vision is not just focusing on what you see in front of you, your physiological vision. If we only looked at that, that's what keeps people stuck, because they get in the loop and the cycle of, well, my mama wasn't this, my daddy wasn't that, I don't have this, I don't have that, all these things happen to me. And so all they're doing is repeating a loop and a cycle of what they can see, as opposed to the next layer, which is creative vision. Creative vision, your dad always used to tell me, and he says this often, he'll say, imagination is a preview of life's coming attractions. I believe it's
Yeah.
a quote from
Albert
Albert Einstein.
Einstein. Albert
Mhm.
Einstein.
A preview of life's coming attractions, right? So you have to be able to see it first. Most people don't get to that layer of creativity and dreaming a new dream because they're so stuck in, well, I should just be grateful for what I have. I've
Yeah.
already accomplished enough. I got farther than anybody else I know. I made it out the hood, so now I just should sit here and be content with what I have. And people shame you, which is why you can't focus on just external validation, because people will tell you that you're not grateful. They will tell you that you've already had so much. Why are you complaining? There's people with less, and da 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 da. And then you start feeling guilty and all these things. No, there's layers to vision. We can't just get stuck in the cycle, the physiological, but we also can't just get stuck in the creative, because people who get stuck in the creative, they are big dreamers, but they're not doers.
Ooh, yeah, yeah.
So
How
they'll
many people
dream,
we
but they
and we
won't do.
know we know so many people like that. And I mean, I really want you to talk about, you said who you are around matters. And so when we talk about casting these, excuse me, these visions for our lives, how important is the company you keep and the people that you hang around, and why is going to be so important for people to get in the room September 12th through the 14th here in Atlanta, Georgia? Why is it going to be important for people to get into this room? Because who they're around matters.
Because your entire life will expand or contract based on the language of the people you associate yourself with, the energy of the people you associate yourself with, right? So someone asked me, I was doing this thing called Recommitted to the Vision in July, and I did a Q&A for it. And one of the clients asked me in the Redefining Wealth app, she said, well, how do I know if that's really my vision? Because things change. I said, I don't know if a vision that God gave you will change. I believe that it will expand or contract based on who you're allowing to speak into your life.
Oof.
We don't understand
Yeah.
how imperative it is that we surround ourselves with people who speak the language that we desire. You know this, but for the people who don't know me, I started out as a personal finance expert. My degree is in behavioral finance and financial psychology. And even with all of that, what I'm very clear about is when you want to take your finances to the next level, you have to be around people that speak the language of money, right? That takes you higher. If you're always around people who are speaking about being broke and scarcity and all these things, that's what you're going to set your sights to. Because what you verbalize, you magnify and you magnetize. So when you're speaking those things, but you're also allowing people to speak that back to you, that's all you see. That's that psychological vision. So now you think everybody is suffering. Now you
Yeah.
think everybody is broke, and you make these gross generalizations that are actually not true, right? When you're around people who speak a higher language and they use the right terminology, you start to look at things like, oh, you made $100,000 this month? Oh, dang. Now you start asking yourself better questions. Well, who would I have to be? Not what I
Yeah.
would have to do. Who would I have to be to put myself in a place, to put myself in spaces and conversations? What do I actually need to learn? Right? It just expands. So now the vision that you have, it starts to get some fire. It starts to get some fuel. It starts to build momentum. But if you're around people that all they want to do is speak lack, it just they put their water on it. And then
Yeah.
you're up there thinking, well, maybe that wasn't what God told me to do.
Right.
I
Right.
hang out with people who only speak from lack. Absolutely not. I don't want to pick up your language.
Absolutely.
I'm contagious. It's contagious. I don't want that. I don't want to be around people who speak lack. I only want to be around people who speak possibility, who speak freedom, who speak purpose, who speak vision, who speak authentic living. That's it. And it doesn't mean that I burn bridges, but I will untie.
Ooh. I don't burn bridges, but I will untie. For all the people who are listening right now, I want us to make sure we can drop in the chat. I have a code for everybody who is watching, for everybody who's listening. They can get 20% off. Patrice, is this
Yeah.
worth 20%? If you want to go to Redefining Wealth and you want, like, you know what, I need a little discount to get there. I need a little help. I want to be in the room, but I need a little help to get in the room. There's some people who I know, and it's okay. You don't even have to ask us for the help. We're gonna just provide it with these open arms, right? So if
Yeah.
all of you all who want to go to Redefining Wealth, you can drop vault into the Redefining Wealth. Do we have the link for the Redefining Wealth, Nakia? Do we want to make sure we
It's
have the
just
link?
Yeah,
Um,
and it's really easy. It's redefiningwealthlive.com. It's just redefiningwealthlive.com. And I want to say too, because I saw somebody ask in the chat, yes, there's a virtual option. This is a hybrid event. and we have purpose chasers. That's what I call my community. We have folks from all over the world who will be joining. So you will be in good company with folks from Italy and Italy, Uganda, Kenya, the UK. We definitely have folks. And you can be in the virtual room because I do these things called wisdom circles, Brandi, where as I teach, after each segment, we have an opportunity to get into wisdom circles and exchange what we're hearing. And really, because I believe in giving voice to it, because it's about integration. It's not
Yeah.
about you sitting there writing everything I say. You don't need more and more information. You have to practice integration. And so I give you a chance to integrate right there in the room. But for people who are virtual, you'll also be in breakouts and you'll be able to talk through what you're learning, how you're applying it, what that means to you, and you will watch yourself expand that vision throughout the 3 days. So yes, you can come virtually, and the code is good, 20% off for Brandy's folks, for the virtual ticket as well, even if you're not with us in Atlanta.
Oh, that's going to be perfect. I know Nakia has dropped in patricewashington.com with the Redefining Wealth Live 2025 link. So the link is in the chat, you guys. So for everybody who's watching, you can click the link, and for checkout, you can enter VAULT, VAULT, in the checkout, and you will get 20% off either the virtual ticket or the live in-person ticket. But here's the thing about why it's so important to be in a room. And for everybody who is like, well, I don't know, since COVID, I just love to be at home. I don't really like, interacting with people like that. The beauty of being in the room is not only do you get an opportunity to feel the energy, but there is something when you get to sit not in a virtual wisdom circle, but you get to sit in the real wisdom circle. You get to sit at the feet of women who are doing the thing that you say you want to do, who are climbing ladders that you've always been too afraid to climb, that are moving in spaces that you've been too afraid to walk in. This is going to be your breakout season. And in order to get it, I'm here to tell you there's something powerful about being in the room. And so if you are like, you know what, I need something to do in September, I've been trying to figure out what I want to do, this is your time to be at Redefining Wealth Live.
Yeah. And I'll say too, Brandi, I really prefer intimacy. I'm one of those people that would prefer to go deeper with folks where I could see them eyeball to eyeball, heart to heart, like all the things. That's just my coaching style. That's who I am. So this year, Redefining Wealth Live in person is not even hundreds of people. Carly has been was the host
Yeah.
2023, 2024. But this year, I actually wanted to do something that for me was me freeing myself to not do it the way the industry standard is. I wanted to do something that had that level of intimacy. So in honor of my 44th birthday, I only opened up 44 tickets to join me in the room. So we only have 10 tickets left for people to actually join me in the room. And after those 10, everybody else will have to be virtual. But we are doing the work because that's what I felt led to do.
I mean, let me just say this. To sit in a room and the space is absolutely phenomenal. For those 44 women and men who are going to be able to sit in this room, you are going to walk away forever changed because the networking that's going to happen, the relationships that are going to be built, you are walking into a journey that only 44 people are experiencing with you in person. So imagine the type of connection that you're going to receive. You are still going to be able to get that. There ain't going to be nothing less that you get from the virtual experience. Trust and believe that. But to be a part of the number, there's something powerful about being in the number. Okay.
Well, let me say this. I'll say though that for folks that are there in person, I will say, because people keep asking me what's the biggest difference. The biggest difference, like you said, is it's the conversations that you get to have in the hallway. It's the conversations that you have with people that are unscripted, like you wouldn't have thought, but God is so sovereign that you just end up next to someone having a conversation, and that could be a part of what gives you the breakthrough, right? So there is like such a high energy that comes with being in the room. But there's also a couple VIP luncheons where I'll be doing spotlight coaching. I don't say hot seat. I don't like that term. I don't like people to feel like they're being put on the spot like that. Like somebody's trying to
Yeah.
rip you apart. I'm trying to bring you, I'm trying to bring you together and deposit you off into your destiny. So it's not that. But I do some spotlight coaching during that time. We have the luncheons. We'll actually have a reception on Saturday night, the 13th. And those are the folks that get to come to the 8-year celebration of Redefining Wealth Live, Redefining Wealth podcast. So I'll also be doing a panel that I am calling the Genuine Collective. And the Genuine Collective is a conversation with women that are the types of people that I surround myself with to make sure that I'm in the right language and energy. You know, that panel had a different name and some years before, but we have renamed it and reclaimed it to be about people who show up with the right heart, the right spirit, the right energy. But those are the
Yeah.
types of relationships. When I say you don't want to just be around people who are like-minded, you want to be around people who are like-hearted. So we don't have to have the same goals. We don't have to have the same vision. We don't have to come from the same industry with the same degrees, but we have the same type of heart to use our God-given gifts to be a light worker in this world. And we know that we have been bound for too long by other people's ideas and thoughts and opinions about who we are and what we should be. And we're tired of that. So we're coming out of isolation. We're coming out of, oh, I have to keep the mask on to be successful. We're like allowing ourselves to rise to a higher standard no matter what we've done
Yeah.
before. There's still more. And that panel is the reflection of the people who do that for me. Like if you weren't the keynote, you would be on the panel. But since you're the keynote, you're not on the panel.
You know, everybody ain't able. You know, everybody ain't able. I know for a fact, Patrice, that everybody ain't able. I learned this weekend, as somebody told me, they sent me a text message and said there is an art to speaking, and
Yeah.
you have mastered the art. And so I do know that I have this amazing gift that God has given me, and I use it to my full ability. We got Jay in the chat who says, "Amen, I'm going to pray about this. What an amazing opportunity." Here's the thing about this. You just said it yourself. You already have the answer. You said this is an amazing opportunity. So God is going to meet us on the path of work. All right. Us doing the work. All right. So we can go pray about it all day. I love that. Everybody who's in their war room and their prayer closet, I love that for us all. But at some point, we just got to step out and make the decision, and God is going to meet us on the road. All right. So
So
you.
can I say something to Jay? Hey, Jay. Hey, Jay. So Jay, first of all, I second what Brandi said. I love my prayer warriors because I'm a prayer girly myself. But I have to tell you something that I've learned throughout the years. God knows what you're waiting on when He sees what you're working on.
Come on.
And something that I have been saying in the Redefining Wealth app, where I go live every single day. So this would be my 242nd live in a row since December 15th. When I felt led to do those lives, I did not know why. I was like, this is what God told me to do, and I'm just going to do it. I have not been consistent with doing a weekly live, much less trying to attempt to do anything daily. But since December 15th, I have not missed one live. Brandi has held her phone and put the light over me as we were in a
Listen,
taxi
in
cab
a taxi cab in Las
in
Vegas,
Las
going to the
Vegas
airport.
because we were at a conference and I was like, B, I have to go live. She said,
Yeah.
right now but you know what my friend did? She turned that light on and said, you're going to have a little light. You won't be in here in the pitch black. Okay. Why do I tell you that? I tell you that because God understands, right? I believe, this is my belief, that when we feel a nudge, so many of us are so used to dismissing it and diminishing it and then saying that we waiting on God. The fact that you ended up on this live where you could have been anywhere in the world at this moment already says that your soul sent you here to hear this conversation.
Yeah.
The fact that you typed out with your fingers into this chat and said, this sounds like an amazing opportunity, is because your soul is telling you that you probably need to be in that space, whether that be virtually or in person. That's on you, right? That's on you to figure out. But God knows what you're waiting on, what He sees what you're working on. And oftentimes people who end up around me say, I was praying for something and then I discovered you. I was praying for something and then I stumbled upon you. I was praying for something. So I'm going to assume that the fact that you put that in the chat says your heart, your soul already has had you thinking about something. And there's something that Brandi has said. There's something that I've said. There's something that has happened in that chat that is stirring something. Stop blocking your blessings, ignoring the stirring. We don't have to wish. We don't have to hope. We don't have to do all these things. Some of us need to learn to just decide.
Yeah.
Freedom looks like making a decision and following it through. And
Yeah.
back to the lives, why those lives matter and why I brought that up is because what I've learned in this process is sometimes we're doing things today, right? And we think it's just about today. Do you realize there's someone you might meet in that room? There is something that you might hear that will cause a residual blessing in your life. The reward is not just about what you experience today. You have no idea what it's preparing you for later. That's really what it is. So I've on 240 something lives, not just because of what, I may need to say from day to day. God is building something in me that's going to be a blessing for the rest of this decade. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
I'm not just doing 365 lives just because. And I still don't know the fullness be of why I was called to do it, but I bet you we will look back and we'll be like, friend, you
Yeah.
did them 365 lives and look what God did. Some of us
Yeah.
are waiting for God. Like we're waiting for this advanced confirmation. And sometimes just life is the confirmation. Where
Yeah.
you are right now is the confirmation. And we have to stop looking outside of ourselves all the time. That was for Jay, but that was for everybody.
It was definitely for everybody because I mean, I was when I was this weekend at the podcast summit when the same girl who talked to me about being free and how I embodied this of what it means to be a free black woman, she said because you started winning Wednesday, I do Freedom Friday, right? She said because and I'm like, not winning Wednesday, here's the thing. And y'all know I done been up and down on the consistency game with this one. Like I sometimes I be like real good with sticking to this every week thing, and then I fall off, and then I come back like, hey, it's winning Wednesday. But what made me even more invigorated is the fact, Patrice, that because I do a winning Wednesday, that it has given somebody the license to step out to do their own Freedom Friday. That right there is going to let you know why it's so important for you to say yes in this season. Why it's so important for you to step into your fullness in this season, because somebody is just waiting on you, right? Somebody's been waiting on Patrice to do that live. And it was that one day. It was a one day that she went on that she didn't even want to go on. It was the one that she said, oh, I'm so tired. I don't want to do no makeup. I don't want to feel like doing this. I don't feel like doing that. I'm not feeling well, all of the things. But because she said yes, somebody else got their breakthrough.
Do you know how many people in the app who follow me for the consistency challenge? How many people have said, I've been journaling now for 150 days straight. I've been
Wow.
drinking water for 88 days straight. I've finally been moving my body, doing the steps, meditating. And then, only as we've been going through this, when I'm live or people sending me messages, they end up saying, do you know that I ended up going to this thing? Or do you know I ended up having this experience? And had I not had the practice of meditating this much, it would have took me out before. So me saying this is what I feel like God is calling me to do, and being consistent and sharing it publicly, right,
Yeah.
with them, gave other people permission to do the same. But look at how it's prepping them for what is coming ahead, and you don't even know. Some of them don't know why they chose journaling, but now they done chose journaling, and it's keeping them from going to jail, because journaling will do that. It'll keep you from,
Girl, listen, Patrice, this is my journal from 20 years ago.
I love
20
it.
years ago. I literally was on this live reading from this journal, things that happened on the very day. I found this journal and I went to the very day, 7/17, and I pulled up what I was doing 20 years ago on this day. And it was the reminder. And so even this whole like, why am I doing this? What is it for? It's because you get to go back and you
Yeah.
get to look at how God has just shown up in your life so immensely in ways you just could not have even imagined. I mean, literally, I read this from 7/23 20 years ago. And I said, may the Almighty plant in me all the things I hope to plant in others. Give me legs strong enough to run this race and arms wide enough to accept all my blessings. Thank you, God, for loving me the way you do. That was 7/23, 2005. That was 22-year-old Brandi. Okay.
Woo!
Was a 22-year-old bird. I'm lethal in these streets now, baby. I didn't even know the arsenal that I had 20 years ago.
But can we talk about though how that's not a linear path? Can we
No.
talk about how
Yeah.
them 20 years, the different things that had to take place, the shedding, the pruning, the building, the finding your voice. You know, like I've been telling you that you have one of the most powerful voices I had ever heard, like for probably 12 years, well before you start becoming the Brandi Harvey. I'm gonna stop you in the hallway. People be in my DMs talking about, can you get a word to Brandi now, ma'am? Now, ma'am.
Hold up.
I sent Brandi a screenshot. I said, okay, well, it is really hard being friends with somebody that's famous because
Said,
what
are
is
you
this
famous?
now? Oh, you're famous. They trying to get to you coming through my little DMs. Now, wait a minute, right? But I've been telling you that for years, but I also had to watch you get fired from the Steve and Marjorie Harvey Foundation on your day
Yeah.
off. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I also
On my day off, Craig. On my day off.
on your
Craig.
day off, we'll never forget it. Like we also right, but the path to alignment
Yeah.
is awkward. It is crazy. It feels like you're gonna lose your footing. It feels like you're gonna lose your mind sometimes. And this is why greatness is not created in isolation. Because even as you're going through the highs and the lows and all the ins and outs of that journey, you gotta lock arms with some people that
Yeah.
will still speak life into you, that will still say, friend, even though I know this happened, there's a blessing in this. Oh, now you've been freed. So
Yeah.
so all they did was free you to go into, right?
I was released into my destiny.
Didn't you say
I,
that at your TED talk?
I was
Is that what
released
you
into
said?
my destiny.
I was
I
released
did.
into my destiny, right? You
Yeah.
still have to be around folks, right? That will lock arms with you and do life with you. That's why I want my spaces to be intimate, because I don't need a million people to do good work. I need to just be in the energy in the space of doing life with people, like locking arms. I'm very clear. There's so much noise out here about you got to build a bigger and a bigger and a bigger audience. And I love that. And it's a blessing to have 20 million downloads on the podcast. It is
Yeah.
a blessing. It's a blessing to have 200,000 subscribers, 200,000 souls that say, oh, okay, I align with this. That's cool. All of that is wonderful. But you're only going to be able to do life with so many people.
Yeah.
You're only going to be able to like really stick in there on the journey with so many people. And you got to be around some people who will walk with you through that awkwardness of alignment,
Yeah.
right? You got to be with some people who are also crazy and delusional enough to believe that what you being called to do is really a thing. Because if we never really seen it and we don't understand it, but we like, well, girl, if that's what you want to do, I love that for you. That's nice. Okay. You got to be around some people that just again by their freedom and by their level of permission, you start to give yourself greater permission. What I've watched you do over these last several years, but over these last few years in particular, this is the journey. This is the journey. When your 22-year-old self was writing, she was writing that love letter to your 42-year-old self.
For
She
sure.
knew what you would become. She
Yeah.
knew what you had in you. She knew what you were capable of, even when you didn't know it. And this is why I say one of the things that we do at Redefining Wealth Live is I take people through this exercise. But at the end of the exercise, what I need folks to know is that we don't ever have to weaponize who we have become against former versions of ourselves. Because what we
Mm.
like to do is pick up all this wisdom and then look back at our 22-year-old self and be like, oh, you show us dumb.
Yeah.
Maybe without her, you wouldn't be here. She did
Yeah.
the best she could do with what she had available to her, but she had to go through her process. And we get to give her the dignity of her own process and celebrate that and not make her bad. I can't go back and look at the version of me that chose my ex husband. I can't do that. She did the best she could do with what she had. Now, we cool. But at the end of the day, some of us are not moving forward because we're on this thing about all these choices I made and I should have done better and I shoulda, coulda, woulda. But that version of you knew what you would need because they looked in your future. They peeked in the future and saw who you would become. And some
Yeah.
of these things our soul chose just so we could get the lesson.
Yeah.
And it's hard to feel that. It's hard to embrace that, but you get to believe none of this happened to me. It happened for me. Without my ex-husband, past relationships, without different things I experienced, losing my son after 5 hours in my arms, he would have been 19 years old last week, without being in the hospital for 10 weeks on bed rest, waiting to have my daughter who just turned 18, right? Without some of the different things that I've experienced, I would not be this version of myself. So when I read my journals, because I've been journaling over 20 years, and I look at what I wrote, I didn't know what I was going to have to experience to own that. But now that I own it and I know it, you can never take that away from me. And that's the conviction and the confidence that I want women and men, because we have some men coming to Redefining Wealth Live, but that's the type of power I want people to leave that experience with. There's not a soul in this earth who can weaponize anything that I've ever experienced against me. I,
Yeah.
I don't care what you find out about me and what. So without that, I wouldn't be the version of me today that impacts people the way that I do. I
Yeah.
can't believe you. You better believe it. And that's how I got here. We won't get into what you did. You'll never be able to weaponize what I've
Yeah.
done against me or anything I've experienced because I know that God brought it all together for my good. And that's what I choose to believe. And you can't take
Yeah.
that away from me.
God brought it all together for your good. As we begin to close out, Patrice Washington, for those people who are still on the fence, we got some now. Here's the thing: your community is so strong because there's some people who gonna get on some planes, trains, and automobiles to make sure they are in the building to come see you September 12th through the 14th here in Atlanta, Georgia, for Redefining Wealth Live. There are going to be some people who are going to make sure that whatever they have to do, they're going to do that thing to be sure that they're in the building. For all the people who are joining in late and who are give them that last push. Jay said, "Thank you for sharing your testimony. Wow, that's powerful." I think Jay has already been transformed. I think we have already opened the doors of the church, and I
It's
think
just the beginning, Jay.
listen. So tell those people that last reason why they don't want to miss Redefining Wealth Live 2025.
The theme for Redefining Wealth Live 2025 is Outlast. And
Mm,
I named it Outlast in particular because at the beginning of this year, I already felt like it was going to be a journey. I realized that many of us have experienced a lot of grief and a lot of distraction. We have been met with a lot in this season. And just by me saying it's been weighty, it's been a lot, it's felt heavy. And I just stopped by today to tell somebody that even in the midst of all of that, your vision is not void, right? Your purpose is not postponed. There is still something that needs to be expressed through you, and you stuffing it down and acting like it doesn't exist and acting like God didn't call you to do more and acting like you don't know who you're supposed to serve is not supporting you. We don't want to be folks who just survive this year. We're not trying to just survive this next 4 years. If you know, you know. We're not just trying to survive this decade. We want to outlast. Outlast means that we will surpass and thrive. We will surpass and thrive. I and the only way that we get to surpass and thrive is to break the cycles of confusion, break the cycles of overthinking, overworking, overcompensating, trying to force ourselves to stay in other people's ideas of what we are supposed to do and liberate ourselves. So in order to outlast, it's going to require being around the right people in the right spaces, having the right conversations that keep you lifted and moving forward. And that's what we do. And Redefining Wealth Live is really about breaking chains.
mm,
The steps, the stages that we go through and the work that we do in that room, you will feel lighter. You will feel more clear. You will feel more powerful, more bold, more magnetic, and like your dream still matters. Your vision still matters. And despite what you see with your psychological, why do I keep saying psychological? God must be trying to tell me some physiological eyes. Despite what you see with your actual eyes, you will be able to see what is still possible. So that when you write your letter to your future self and you look back on it, you'll look back at Redefining Wealth Live and say, that was the moment.
yeah.
that was the moment. That was the moment when things start shifting. That was a milestone in my journey. And you'll have me for 3 days guiding you, an amazing community from all over the world, right there with you, locking arms, like-hearted with you. And then we're gonna end with the incomparable Brandi Harvey, giving whatever word is on her heart on that Sunday the 14th. But I believe it's for people who know that no matter what's going on in the world, they're being called to a higher standard, and they want to be in the energy and in the language in that type of elevation and space that elevates you in that way. And I'm excited. I can't wait.
Lynn said there is no ceiling. There is no ceiling in this season, and everybody is touching and agreeing with her. I want to tell this story before we get off the live, Patrice, because you and I haven't had the chance to talk. We talked the other day while I was walking the park,
Yeah.
but I didn't tell you the story. So while I was at the podcast summit this weekend, and this is for everybody who's listening, who people count them out, who don't know what they're looking at when they're looking at you, who have never experienced your gift before. Let me say this. So I'm at the podcast summit on Friday. Now I had done a breakout session on how the art of doing a engaging interview on Thursday and had a packed room. I started off, they trickled in slow, Patrice, but I had a packed room just like last year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this year they asked me to do the main stage, and so I did Lauren LaRosa. So when I'm sitting up there waiting for Lauren LaRosa to get there to go over the notes to do a main stage interview, the stage director comes up to me and he says, "Hey, I know you did a breakout session yesterday, but this is the main stage, and I don't know if are you ready for the main stage?" Now, y'all, I said, "I'm sorry, are you talking to me?" Because I was looking down at my notes, so I didn't know that this ninja was actually talking to me. He said, "Are you ready? Because this is not a breakout session. You're going on the main stage, and I don't know if you." I said, "You talking to me?" And he said, "Well, yeah." I said, "You never met me before, I see." And he said, "Well, nah." I said, I was born for the main stage."
Right.
He said, "How you spell main stage?" I said, "Brandi Harvey, BrandiHarvey. That's how you spell main stage." So he said, "Oh, well, Harvey, like Steve Harvey?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Are you related to him?" I said, "That's my father." He said, "Well, why didn't you tell me that?" I said, "Why did I have to? Was that going to make you treat me differently?" He said, "Well, yeah."
Well, why? Well, why?
He said, "Well, yeah." I said, well, yesterday I told him, I said, yeah, I said, yesterday I did a session called How to Do an Engaging Interview. I said, well, today I'm about to put it to work. You about to watch me work. When I got off the stage, I said, well, I think that was main stage. What you think? And I handed him that damn microphone back. Here's what I want y'all to know in this season of your life. For all those who feel like there is something that they might not see it in you right now. They might not know who you are when you walk in the room, but baby, when you come out, baby, you're going to know who I am. When you experience me one time, you're going to have a lifetime of it, because you're going to say, wait a minute, I just came in the presence of greatness. Hold on, somebody. Now my mama only calls me main stage, because I called her. I said, "Mom, let me tell you what they said to me at the thing." They said, "What?" Every day she drop on the, "How you spell main stage?" I said, "Brandi Harvey." "How
That's
you gonna
right.
do main stage?" "Brandi Harvey." Baby, you might not know me right now, but the moment I turn the corner, you're gonna know exactly who I am. For everybody who's still on the fence, who's still wondering, are they main stage ready? This is your season to get free. For everybody who don't know, wait a minute, they haven't seen my anointing, they don't know my ability. Wait a minute, you just got to get in the room so they can feel you and understand you. We got 20% off with the vault code today that's going to put you in the room, and somebody's going to be calling you main stage from now on. So Jay, it feels like a main stage season. Royal, it feels like a main stage.
Woo!
Jasmine, it feels like this might be your main stage season. Lynn, I think it's your main stage season. For everybody wondering who they are, what they need to do in this season, baby, you better get in the room so you can see what a main stage feels like. Amen.
Amen.
Eat them
Hey.
up. Eat them up. That's what I be doing at the BJ. Eat them up. We eating y'all up. Okay.
Woo.
Yeah. Main stage. She said, "Well, do you know how to spell main stage? How you spell main stage?"
Brandi, this is
Brandi
why
Martin.
I can't even go with you to places like this. This is why, because I'd have been like, I'm sorry, excuse me. And I've had people do the same thing to me. I told them when at my retreat in Hawaii, I said most of the stages that I get on, a lot of people don't know me based on
Yeah.
the flyer. It's Trent Shelton, it's Eric Thomas, it's this
Yep.
person, this person. But who always has one of the longest lines at the end? Patrice Washington. Who do people come up here and say, "Oh, I didn't even know you before today, but now I can't." That's right.
Yeah.
Patrice Washington. Be
Yeah.
very clear.
Be
One thing
very
that
clear.
I'm clear about is my anointing, and I'm
Yeah.
okay with whoever's annoyed by it. But what I will not ever do is not walk in my anointing to help another person feel better about themselves. I won't do it. I won't dismiss my. I spent years doing that. I spent years shrinking. I spent years acting like I don't know who I am, like I don't know what I carry, like I don't know whose I am. Baby, I don't know if it's 40 or what be. I feel like we turned 40 though.
And we turned up. Listen, we eating y'all little yum. Patrice's audience different. I'm about to say something. I saw Carly into the chat, so I kind of got, what I'm saying? I was about to say something crazy. But that's the thing. Patrice, literally, the man who did the AV in the back of my breakout session on Thursday, he came up, he said, I was in the room last year with you. He said, I think you hit a new record. I said, last year I had a line for 45 minutes. This year I had a line for an hour and a half after I got off the stage. An hour and a half. Here's what I know. When you sit in my presence, you will never be the same.
Amen.
When you come to a Redefining Wealth live event, I'm here to tell you, you will not walk away the same. How you walk in is not going to be the way you walk out. So September 12th through the 14th, live in Atlanta, Georgia, we need to see you in the room because I'm looking for transformations, Patrice. I'm looking for people who are walking in one way and coming out something totally different.
Brandi, in 2023, someone told me I should have took a picture of what I looked like before. I'll never come into another space or energy or program with you and not take a picture first, because when I look at old pictures, I can see the lightness. I can see the weight lifted. I can see the confidence. I can see my shoulders. I can see that how I respond to people and how I respond to things is not even the same. Stuff that used to stress me out for weeks and for months. I can close my phone, do what I need to do and be done with it like after a day. How many things we used to be harping on for months. Now we talk about it, we laugh about it, we move on, we on to the next thing. That is doing the work. And those tools and what it takes to show up that way is what Redefining Wealth Live is. It's not a money conference, because all the other parts of your life are what are impacting the way you show up with your money. We dealing with the root. You trying to talk about the fruit. I'm here to get the root. I'm here to support you in plucking up roots that no longer serve you and planting something different, planting something better, planting something more aligned. That is the work. That is actually doing the thing. And that's what we do. So whether you come virtually or in person, you need to be in that room.
Come on. Nakia's going to drop it in the chat one last time. We will drop the link in the chat one last time for all the new people who have joined us. We're going to drop it in. You can use my code VAULT, VAULT, VAULT in your checkout. You will get a 20% off discount code. I am so excited for what God is going to do September 12th through the 14th live here in Atlanta. I am so honored to be in the room. So when y'all see me, y'all better call me by my name. It's Main Stage. Main Stage. When you see me, don't act like you don't know who I am. When you see me September 12th through the 14th in Atlanta, Georgia, just call me Main Stage when you see me. I'm going to know exactly who you talking to. So Patrice Washington, thank you so much for joining me today on this Winning Wednesday. For everybody, it is Winning Wednesday. Be sure to share this with somebody who needs to win more in their life. Be sure to share the link. I will see y'all live at Redefining Wealth here in Atlanta, Georgia, September 12th through the 14th. Thanks, Patrice, for joining us. For everybody, eat well, give a damn, move your body every single day. Peace. Bye, you guys.
Bye.